Fallout Equestria the Chrysalis, Chapter 22, Part 3. When morning came and Pony started to wake, I stayed close beside Starlight.
Are you okay? Yeah.
She murmured, looking away as she rummaged through her bags.
I'm just really hungry.
I kept my voice low, so the others were less likely to overhear us.
Are you sure?
She paused, holding a package of mixed vegetables in her magic.
I almost died last night.
She said, her voice quiet, and shook her head.
I don't know. I almost died, and I couldn't even do anything about it. I didn't even try,
I slipped a foreleg around her shoulders, and she sighed.
I just panicked. I tried to run on a compound fracture.
I said.
I think we might have both been a little concussed.
She gave a weak snort.
Yeah, sure. Still, I was just... useless. You're not useless.
I said, giving a squeeze, but she just rolled her eyes.
I mean, I felt useless.
She said. She opened her mouth to continue, then she shut it. I waited as she tried a few more times before speaking again.
It reminded me of when my mom died.
I gave another squeeze, but held it and leaned my head against hers. She sat there, still for a few moments before giving another huff and shrugging her shoulders, pushing me back just a bit.
But hey, I'm better now.
She said, giving a weak smile that was only partially convincing.
The sleep helped a lot.
Her smile slowly faded away, and after a moment of silence, she added,
It just freaked me out is all. It's the only time I've felt so scared and helpless.
She glanced warily my way.
You know what I mean?
I slowly nodded.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
She sighed, then tore open the bag of veggies and tipped the bag back, dumping several bite-sized pieces of various vegetables into her mouth.
Are you hungry?
She said around the mouthful as she chewed. While I speculated at what she had intended to say, really hungry, I think, she started scratching at her neck.
And my neck is itching like mad.
She said, once she had swallowed the mouthful. I'm not surprised. Despite Emerald's efforts to clean her, Starlight's scratching dislodged several flecks of red blood that had dried under her coat. She eventually stopped, looking down at her hooves, speckled in dry blood, and blearily declared,
I need a shower.
I looked down at my own hooves. I'd cleaned thoroughly with a well water, but I was sure I'd be imagining the feeling of dried blood under my coat until I'd had the chance to clean up in my natural form.
I think I could use one too.
She gave a dry chuckle, tipping back the bag of veggies again. Soon every pony was gathering up their bedding and eating a quick breakfast. Starlight ate ravenously and downed the entire package in a can of beans before washing it down with a bottle of water. Afterward, she lay out with a groan, waiting for every pony else. Dusty laid out a brief plan for the day, head towards the area Emerald had indicated, scout out any raider presence, and attempt to locate their base of operations. And above all else, he said, stay alert. Keep an eye out for ambushes, booby traps, stuff like that. We already know they like to use mines, and we can't afford to get surprised like that again. As we donned our packs and gear, I saw Starlight staring off towards the horizon, and taking a few slow deep breaths. On the final exhale, she murmured,
Okay.
This was followed by a grimace as she noticed that I was watching her.
Okay, so I'm a little nervous.
She said with a frown.
But I'm not gonna let that stop me.
I cautiously nodded, uncertain of what to say. Since Sickle had merely flopped down in the dirt to sleep, she had no bedding to pack or equipment to redon, and was ready to go as soon as she got up. As a result, she waited as impatiently as ever while we got ready, occasionally waving a spiked and bladed hoof at one of the flies buzzing around her head. Emerald slung her magical energy weapon across her back and paused, looking over to Sickle.
You know, if you cleaned up that blood, you probably wouldn't have all those flies bothering you.
Sickle growled.
Oh, hey, yeah, keep poking at me, bitch.
She swatted at another fly.
Then in a couple of minutes I can tell you how if you just kept your cunt mouth shut, you wouldn't have a broken jaw. How's that sound?
I sighed quietly. Not that I was surprised by Sickle's behavior, just maybe a little disappointed. Emerald looks disappointed as well.
I'm sorry.
She said, her ears drooping.
I didn't mean to offend you, I was just trying to offer some help.
Well, don't. Sickle replied with a snort, and looked away. Despite my hopes that Emerald would just be leaving things be, she spoke again.
You really don't like me, do you?
I started walking closer to the pair, hoping to intervene if Sickle replied too aggressively. Sickle gave a short dry chuckle.
Of course not, you're a fucking idiot!
Emerald glanced over to me as I approached, giving a questioning look. When I shrugged, she looked back to Sickle.
I have to wonder why you think that. Because you think you're actually helping.
Sickle said, her head turning to fix on Emerald.
You're not. You're just hiding behind your walls and your guns. It's like you're living in some fucking fantasy land where you think happy thoughts and smiles and everything's a-okay. Except on the other side of those walls, you got a bunch of ponies getting raped to death by raiders. But hey, maybe if they think they're actually good ponies for long enough, they'll all stop at the raping and murdering and joining in with singing some happy song about friendship and rainbows and shit. Any decade now, right?
Emerald's ears hung low.
The world isn't going to get any better if we just keep killing ourselves,
She said, her voice quiet, but growing stronger with every word.
I know some ponies need to be stopped, sometimes even killed, but we have to work towards something better instead of just keeping what we have. You can kill off every single raider in existence, but it won't make a difference if we don't deal with the reason they exist.
Sickle laughed, sharp, bitter, and without humor.
Like you know why raiders exist. And anyway,
Emerald said, her head rising as she took up a more firm posture.
I'm not hiding behind those walls now. I'm out here trying to do what's right. Prom and shit.
Sickle growled, rising to her hooves.
You're out here because you're a fucking coward and a liar.
Hey! Dusty shouted, trotting in our direction while adrenaline started to tease at my senses.
Fuck off, Dirt!
Sickle took a step towards Emerald. I took a step in as well, and snarled in her face.
You talk a lot of shit, but as soon as push came to shove, you pussied out and ran away. Don't play like you're out here to make the whole world a better place. You lied to every pony, pretending everything was good and happy right before you turn around and abandon them. You're nothing but a fucking coward that thinks that she's better than every pony else.
The pained look on Emerald's face was too much. I stepped in.
That's enough, Sickle. She's already explained why she needs to leave.
Sickle turned her glare to me, staring for several seconds before finally snorting and turning away.
Yeah, sure. We going yet?
Dusty was staring at Sickle, but slowly nodded. Yeah, we're going. I looked at Emerald. She stood still, eyes shimmering with tears. Her expression was like a hoof to the gut. I stepped forward, gently placing a hoof on her shoulder.
It's okay.
She looked at me, her eyes full of sadness, and sighed.
No, it's not.
She slipped away from my hoof, slowly walking along behind Dusty, who cast a concerned look back our way before returning to keep an eye on Sickle.
I've helped a lot of ponies.
Emerald quietly said, her head hanging low as she walked.
I know I have. I've done what I can to make life better for as many as I can, but I'm not a fighter.
She cast a quick glance Sickle's way.
I'm not a coward either. I'm a pony who's willing to give up everything she has for a cause she believes in. I'm just not a fighter. And yeah, sometimes we need fighters. Sometimes we need ponies who will stop the monsters that try to kill us. Heck, even the ponies who embodied the elements themselves fought to protect Equestria.
She paused, and a flicker of a smile crossed her face.
Well, maybe not Fluttershy, but she still helps those who did.
The faint smile faded away a moment later.
But I'm still not a fighter.
The ground crunched quietly under her hoof as we continued on in silence. Eventually, I nodded.
I know what you mean.
Emerald cast a glance my way.
Is that so? Yeah.
I looked down at the rifle slung at my chest, which now felt so familiar there.
I had never fired a weapon in anger before a month ago. I had never been in a real fight before then, much less a firefight. Heck, it still seems weird when ponies see me as someone who can fight.
Emerald considered me for a few long moments.
From the stories Dazzle told, I would have never guessed.
I gave a wry smile.
Adversity seems to be a very efficient teacher. For some things.
Emerald said.
For some things.
I echoed with a nod. She nodded thoughtfully, but that eventually ended with a slow shake of her head.
I hope you're not trying to convince me to stay in fights.
I considered my reply for a few seconds before speaking.
No, I'm just offering my sympathy. If I were to make comments on the situation at Hoof, it would be that there are fighters out there. Sometimes in places that you don't expect it. Thanks.
She looked down at her hooves as she continued walking.
Except right now, they don't even know that they're needed.
I nodded.
All the more reason to share that information. Yeah.
Emerald said, heaving a deep sigh.
And I will, it's just... Oh, you have no idea how hard it is. You seem like good ponies, but I'm still not sure how you'll take it. I'm not even sure if you'll believe me.
I had a smile at that.
And that's something I can definitely sympathize with.
She turned a questioning look my way.
Oh? Yeah.
I smiled at her, looking at her expression of curiosity. I thought of all the things that she had said and done, and all the good that she had tried to accomplish. All that she gave without expecting anything in return, and I came to a decision.
How about this? I'm pretty sure that I can top whatever story that you've got. These are some very understanding ponies that we're traveling with. And you? You seem like a good pony, and one who's very good at keeping secrets when they're for a good reason. So, how about a deal?
She blinked, her ears pricking up.
What's that?
I inclined my head in the direction that we were traveling.
We go out there, play the heroes, maybe save some ponies, and then when that's all done, you and I swap stories of our dark and mysterious pasts.
Starlight's ears had shot up in alarm, and she cast a concerned look my way as if to say,
Are you sure?
I could certainly understand. She understood exactly what I was offering, even if I felt a little uncomfortable about sharing. A few weeks earlier, and I would have never considered it. But I had shared my secret with 3 of the ponies that I was traveling with, even if it hadn't been entirely by choice. But instead of leaving me more vulnerable as I'd feared, that shared secret left us all better off. Emerald had caught Starlight's look, and watched her curiously before looking back to me. I simply smiled back, and after a moment of wary hesitation, she smiled as well, slowly and cautiously.
Okay then, it's a deal.
In hindsight, I could have pressed her right then. I was reluctant to share my own secrets, but I was convinced that she was a pony that would be safe with. What she had already shared was enough for that. I'm sure that revealing my own past, not to mention my hidden nature, would have been enough to convince her to share her own story, but I didn't press the matter. Or maybe I should have. She has good intentions at heart. Hopefully Sickle didn't hinder that a little bit though. Anywho, let's get on to our super kind donators. Top donators are 630, Peter Coulthard, J Tinman, Darkside, Only One Thing, and Twinkie. Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel Skies, Austin Roland, Crazy Color 557, Stu Hex, Swordbrother and Mordred, Omricon Lyrae, Will, Chris, Dospo, Delta Omega, Jack Hadge, Runeslife 9052, Mad Mad Stan, Leslie Perkett, Drake Love Dragon, Haunted Omen, Stephen Bingham, Langa 12, Sorcerer Constantine, Hud Zaza, Conver, and many more amazing people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.